Hello everyone, Chief Canuck here, and welcome back to another Hunt the Truth episode breakdown with some Halo 5/ Hunt the Truth updates. A lot has happened since I last talked to you guys. When we last left off, we had a failed transmission from Maya Sankar stating that she's on Conrad's Point, a colony that we know was devastated by a Guardian from the opening cinematic. In the brief transmission, she says something big is about to happen, and we can all figure out what that is. It's a Guardian. Then another Meridian helmet cam video popped up showing the Master Chief. That following Sunday, we got to see where the helmet cam was from. For those unaware, a brand new Halo 5 live-action trailer titled A Hero Falls was released. In the trailer, we got to see people gathering and listening all over the place to an address made by Lieutenant and UNSC Press Secretary Penelope Boren, who stated that on October 27th, 2560, the Master Chief died on the planet Meridian. During the trailer, we see glimpses of the event on Meridian, we see a Guardian leveling neighboring buildings, and the Master Chief running into the carnage. The smoke lifts, and we see him trapped in the rubble and his visor goes dark as the trailer ends. Now, the Master Chief isn't really dead. This was obvious propaganda, and it's probably much easier to convince the public that he's dead rather than tell them that their beloved hero has turned into a traitor. What puzzled me was the date mentioned. Not the fact that they've ever so conveniently used October 27th, which is the release date for Halo 5, but the year. 2560 is 2 years after Halo 5 is supposed to begin. Since then, a message from Sullivan was posted on the Hunt the Truth website, stating that Boren made a mistake and that the year should have been 2558. She has now been relocated to a mining facility as a punishment for her mistake. Yikes. Now, I'm not sure if this date mistake was intentional, or it somehow made it through the boardroom table into a most likely very expensive commercial during Sunday Night Football. What is interesting, however, is that October 27th, 2558 is the same date when Fireteam Osiris begins the campaign mission titled Swords of Sang Helios, which is speculated to be somewhere around the 11th mission of the campaign because we saw one called Enemy Lines, and that one was the 11th, it's the same area, so we're thinking it's around the 11th mission. So I guess Oni waited a while before coming up with a cover story to tell the public because the events took place in the 5 colonies simultaneously 72 hours before the opening cinematic takes place. So we have a long time here between the opening cinematic and the 11th mission before Penelope Boren made an address. And just recently, we got another trailer titled The Hunt Begins, revealing that of course the Chief isn't dead, and the unofficial story is that Fireteam Osiris is hunting them down because they believe that Chief and Blue Team are activating these Guardians. So that's all the recap of all the stuff kind of around Hunt the Truth. Let's get on to Hunt the Truth episode 2, which kind of ties into all of this. The episode begins as Maya is on her way to Conrad's Point, and then she remembers that Mashak Moriarty was looking into anomalies in deep space, which we are pretty sure that those were Guardians. Black Box then tells her to focus as they're about to make their descent. The world has gone dark and everything has been fried by this event. On their way down, they detected an analog transmission, a friendly warning from Ari Resnick. Ari had been undercover in the NCA and had gone dark for weeks. He was Maya's only link to the area. He is also extremely resourceful in risking his cover to send signals out from the dark world. Black Box questions the analog transmission though. Are these warnings from human or non-human threats? They then begin their free fall and quietly bring down the transporter down into a ravine. Black Box once again kind of steals the show again as he begins his sarcastic description of the planet.
This region is lovely. Just lovely. All the rocks.
This is it. Nobody's here.
Why don't you try the vantage point up there? On that rock.
Once Maya disembarks, she approaches the vantage point and she realizes she's standing in front of a massive crater. She didn't notice it at first because it was just so massive. She was so distracted by it, she didn't hear Ari sneak up on her. They tangoed and exchanged body language formalities just to make sure that anyone who was watching would think that they've never met before. Ari reveals that they arrived after the event. The event caused major seismic damage and fried every piece of tech on the planet. The site is blocked off and only a select few people are allowed in. He also informed Maya that Ilsa Zane, the mentally unstable former Super Spartan, is here and in charge. Maya questions why Ari hasn't left yet, and Ari says that he can't escape because he's trying to keep their trigger fingers off some nukes until Oni can come in and defuse the situation. Ari and Maya make their way into the camp, and they discover that people in the camp were celebrating. Ari isn't sure why they're celebrating today because it had been silent up until now. Everyone's been under a lot of stress and tension. As Maya surveyed the crowd, she didn't see anyone she recognized. All she saw were mercenaries, until she heard a familiar voice. Bostwick, who she had seen last at the rally. Bostwick had been drinking. A lot. She joined the NCA after the rally dispersed. Maya gives us a little backstory on Bostwick and saying that she first found her when she was 17 years old. Bostwick had lost her parents thanks to some UNSC troopers who were drunk and tossing around plasma grenades they'd seized, and one went awry. All Bostwick received was an apology, and she went down a destructive path, so Maya had taken her in. Bostwick says that she's been doing perimeter checks, and there's a bunch of scientists going into the hole and doing readings. Just then, Black Box interrupted and broadcasted directly into Maya's ear that headquarters had just authorized a strike right on Maya's coordinates. The chance of Oni getting Ilsa was just too great and they didn't want to miss out. There wasn't much time, and so they needed to leave. Ari then re-emerged from the crowd and gave Maya a data chip. She then told Ari that they needed to leave now. But before they could get anywhere, the place went into lockdown and Ilsa Zane walked in. The place went quiet. Ilsa Zane gave a disturbing speech about how she's running this group like a well-oiled machine and trimming any fat. They were going to capitalize on the hole and the weakness that that hole has brought. She asked how many members of the crowd had lost friends and loved ones at the hands of a Spartan. Well, today, they apparently put a very big one in the other column. Black Box then starts checking the news feeds nervously and was in shock. Ilsa announced that this celebration was to commemorate the death of the Master Chief in the wake of these seismic events. As the group tries to sneak out, they don't make it far as Ilsa makes eye contact. Maya then identifies herself as FERO, and Zane recognizes the name but of course doesn't agree with FERO's ideas. Ari vouches for FERO, saying that she's a valuable asset as FERO has a strong logistical background, useful for supply chains. Ilsa does sort of agree that FERO could be useful in that regard, and then she goes on about talking about her well-oiled machine, how trying to make pieces fit, and taking out the trash at the same time. Then Ilsa raises her arm, fires point blank at Ari's head. Ilsa had found out that he worked for Oni, and now that he had just vouched for Maya, Ilsa threatened to kill Maya. Bostwick then jumped in front and raised a knife to Ilsa's throat and vouched for FERO, but Ilsa knocked her halfway across the room. In a panic, Maya revealed that an airstrike was about to hit, basically blowing her cover, and before anyone could react, the bombs hit. In the fiery chaos, Maya somehow comes out unscathed and grabbed a wounded Bostwick, and they headed outside, grabbed a mongoose, and sped off. However, Ilsa had the same idea and was right on her tail, and shot at them the entire way back to their transport ship and as they lifted off. Once settled in, Maya began tending to Bostwick's wounds. Then she remembers the data chip Ari gave her. It contained tons of information about the seismic events, readings, charts, and predictions. The NCA were looking for a signature that they could use to predict where and when the next event would happen. Maya said the answers were right in front of her, but she couldn't read it. But she knows someone who could. Talk about an explosive episode. Maya's FERO identity is definitely blown now, and I wonder what Bostwick is gonna do once she comes to, and now everyone's trying to figure out where FERO will go with this information on the data chip. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how all of these different things pan out. Hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Share your thoughts down below as well. My name's Chief Canuck, and I'll see you guys next time.